Hi, Tony, Noelle. Thank you so much for coming to the Founder Talk. How are you today?
Hi, Max. Thank you for having us.
My pleasure. Thank you, guys, for your time. Founders are always busy, so I really appreciate the time you spend with us today. If you want to give an introduction to yourself, and after we go straight to the pitch.
Okay, my name is Tony Horrell. I'm the founder and CEO, chairman of Cranium Ventures. I have about 35 years of experience in the global payments industry. Been doing startups for the last 20 years, starting with .com. And we've developed a number of large companies globally, which we've eventually exited. And I'd like to introduce Noelle.
Hi, I'm the CMO for Cranium. I spent 25 years about in B2B emerging tech companies like HP and Cisco. And as well, I've spent the last 4 years in crypto and now coming back to B2B.
Thank you so much. So let's go to business.
So Cranium was founded, it was actually the fourth company that we've built in the payments industry. Cranium was formed really to address a problem that we saw coming, which is essentially the interoperability of old, existing, and new payments. There's no point in having legacy platforms that only manage legacy payments, or Web3 platforms that can only operate within a Web3 domain, or metaverse transactions that only work within metaverse. What is required is the interoperability between all domains, because these are not islands of functionality. These are pedagogic states in the evolution of payments. So the global payments industry is actually probably the world's largest industry. Why? Because everybody pays for everything. So at the end of the day, the payments industry is estimated to be $20 trillion by 2026. And growing at a compound rate of 24% per annum. This makes it bigger than both telecommunications and the automobile industry combined. So it's a huge industry, and yet nobody is facing the reality. The reality is that 75% of consumer payments are processed on technology from the 1970s and 1980s. Everything is lip gloss. So the big problem, the elephant in the room, is that technology that sits in the back end, sits in every bank, in every payment processor, needs to be changed. But everybody is focused on what's coming down the track, not how do we fix the problems that we can build on for the future. This is what Cranium has focused on. So we've developed a global payments infrastructure replacement platform built from the ground up using our own technologies and our own funding thus far. And our goal is really to replace that legacy payments infrastructure, to create new rails by working with the largest banks, with the largest processors, with all of the elements within the industry, on rails and off rails, the interoperability of both. Every bank, every payment processor, everybody involved in the payments industry is running legacy platforms that need to be replaced. We have built a better mousetrap. We're not seeking funding to go and build one. We have spent the last 5 years developing 5 million lines of code from the ground up, building our own microservices platform. And now we are seeking funding to commercialize this and globalize this. We already, based on our current pipeline, are projecting positive EBIT next year. So really what we're doing is scaling up now. Just on the simple total available market, we're looking at around $150 billion of that $20 trillion being immediately available to us, although we are working on other models that could scale that even further. But deep down at our heart, we're a deep tech company. We're a technology company. We've designed, we've built a platform that is able to address a series of critical problems. We've developed Synapse, our platform, and it's a framework that is able to process any size, volume, or format of transactions. We can do chat over this. We can interoperate fiat, crypto. We can basically handle any type of transaction, but the platform is optimized for payments. We own 100% of this platform. We've used no third-party components. Why? Because we need to be able to drop this into any highly secure data center, or run it on the cloud, or provide it as an outsourced platform. We cannot rely on building products using third-party microservice engines or building using third-party cloud services. We've built it from the ground up. We have total control, and it's seamless, and it's interoperable with legacy and future states of payments. The team, I'm very blessed, is effectively made up of some of the top people that I've worked with over the years, including Ashraf Dimitri, who is the founder of Oasis Technology, who built the second largest payment systems company in the world. Dave Russell, who was the president of ACI, which is the largest payment systems company in the world today. Oasis, we built and we sold to FIS. FIS globally still operates and sells our legacy platform, which we're about to replace. And we're very lucky to have Noelle Gahan here, who has joined us as per her introduction. We have a very good balance between startup and large-scale multinational organizations. We have deployed technology over 500 banks using technology historically that we have built and developed ourselves across more than 100 countries. We have more than 200 years of experience in the payments and fintech industry on the team. We developed technology for Visa. We built the Europay network across 72 countries. We developed parts of MasterCard. We built MasterCard Australia, MasterCard Japan. We built the Interact platform in Canada. We built the first version of UnionPay in China, and so on. So we understand this space. We understand it because we're replacing our old legacy, and we understand what's coming down the pipe, and we've developed a platform ready to be able to do that. So in summary, Cranium is currently doing an equity round of 15 million, Series A, smallest party please at 2.5 million. Use of proceeds is growth and development. We're building massive amounts of strategic partnerships right now. We are currently engaged and doing pilots for the world's largest payment processors and the world's largest retail banks. So we are building out right now, and the investment that we require is really to build a bigger team in order to be able to deliver what we have already promised to deliver. We have historically already made $6 million of pre-launch revenue over the last 3 years. That was pre-launch, really just doing pilot projects for different organizations. We have a significant pipeline at the moment. As I said, it shows us going positive EBIT by the middle of next year and growing very significantly thereon out. We are production ready. We're beyond MVP. We're actually already PCI compliant. We've already Visa and MasterCard compliant. We're already there, ready to roll. We own the IP, no third party, and we are benchmarked already and peer reviewed as being 10 times faster than any competition in the market, which is the legacy technology which we historically built. So that's really a quick summary of Cranium. I'd like to open the floor to any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tony, Noelle. That's great. And you have everything except the status of startup, because you've done already a lot. That's the status of, I don't know, maybe 50 years old company. But anyway, what's the main difference between what you're building already, using and selling, what is adopted today from the banking system?
So the existing platforms that are being used, for example, by the banks, but also all the payment processors and payment service providers, are very monolithic systems. They're designed to process fixed message types that really conform to legacy payment systems. What we see as this interoperability need grows with crypto, with CBDC, with Web3, with metaverse, as the ecosystem evolves, those platforms are actually not fit for purpose. They have to be scrapped. So the banks and the industry have the option to try to modify those, which is very difficult. For example, using COBOL on mainframes, which is where a lot of those platforms sit today. So they have the option of either bolting on new components that are built within that sort of specific ecosystem requirement, or they have to go microservices, which is really the ability to handle more or less any type of transactions within a sort of a matrix view, if you will, of the back-end technology.
So banks today must replay in any way one day.
They all need to replace. Basically, every single bank on the planet, I would say at least 99% of the banks on the planet, need and wish to replace their legacy technology in this area. This is the elephant in the room, if you will. Everybody's looking for niches within industries. This is an entire industry that needs to be replaced.
This is regardless adoption of crypto or not.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, in terms of market adoption, you already have an absolutely, there's no way even to talk about your market fit is pretty much proven. But where do you see your clients coming from, the most of them?
Yes, we are actually working with two distinct business models right now. One of them is a very binary organic growth model, which is really what I've presented here. So in that regard, historically, we've worked with large distribution partners, people like IBM or Accenture or these types of organizations who are able to give us quick market access and scale. That's very much the way that we have built the last two companies that we developed and sold to FIS. But at the same time, we are also exploring roll-up strategies where we're looking at a much larger financial or capital requirement as we go. So we have already identified, I think, about $200 million worth of executable M&A, which really would accelerate our development. So we are in discussions with some large investment banks and or hedge funds on that regard as well.
So in terms of market, in terms of geography more than market, where your clients are located today?
Well, at the moment, we have clients and pilots in the US, in Southeast Asia primarily. So that's really where the organization actually is a UK registered company, operational headquarters in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, but with team members in Canada and the US, where we're also deploying. Our goal, ultimately, the requirement is in every single country. So ultimately, our goal is to deploy globally. We can't scale it geographically, but we have got good traction and very good networks in both North America and Southeast Asia.
But clients that come to you, they come to you for building from scratch or for tuning around what do they have already?
It's still relatively early stage in terms of commercialization. So what we are doing right now is selecting strategic partnerships with what we would call marquee customers. So we have not yet fully commercialized on a global basis, but rather we are sharpshooting to specific marquee clients. So for example, the biggest consumer bank or the biggest global payments processor and so on. And we're actually building trust and initial beachheads, if you will, in each of those in order to be able to show a cross-section of organizations where we are both relevant and engaged.
For what is my understanding, your technology makes sense if you have an enormous amount of transactions. Otherwise, maybe it's even too much.
Actually, funny enough, it's actually amusing that you should say that, because we recently did a benchmark to really look at, you know, what was the ultimate scale that we could run our platform at. And this is where we reached 10 times faster than any of the largest payment systems in the world. I asked my co-founder and CTO, I said, goodness, that's extremely fast. I said, you were processing roughly all of the payment transactions that Europe does in one session. So your transactions per second were roughly what Europe does at any 1 second. And I said, what on earth were you using for hardware? And he smiled and he said, my MacBook Pro.
Oh my God.
So from an economies of scale point of view, it doesn't really matter. Yeah.
Indeed. When it comes to business model, how do you monetize?
So we have a number of different products within the framework. In fact, our system is almost like a toolkit. So we are able to rapidly generate platforms that can replace, for example, a legacy payment switch or a more modern internet payment gateway or a smart POS, touch on glass kind of payment solution. Or we can actually process fintechs and fintech services through the same platform and interoperate those with payment transactions because we have no limitations of message type. This was a fundamental part of the architecture. We encapsulate everything. So from a business model point of view, we are in some cases replacing legacy payment technology. In other cases, replacing legacy card issuing systems. In other cases, building brand new fintech as a service platforms to be able to interoperate fintech services through the platform into super apps. And in those cases, we are working with aggregated user bases. So we're currently signing up, I think we've got a pipeline of 500 million end users on a B2B2C model, where we are offering super apps with an entire suite of value-added services, be that payments, be that insurance, et cetera, et cetera. We have an agreement right now with a company from Spain to start to onboard 12,000 fintechs into our libraries.
Wow.
So essentially what we're doing at one level is to build the app store of fintech, because we can use the same platform to do that. And everything that we do is really we're just limited by the imagination and the scale that we can deploy, because our platform allows us to build these very complex orchestration environments.
I mean, there is so much to talk about. Unfortunately, we have a limited time. Let me close with what can be a message to investors who are investing today in Cranium?
I think because we have already built the platform, we are already deploying the platform, and we're not banking on something that might happen. We're not betting on a possible future that might require something. There's an immediate need for it right now. We're able to replace those legacy platforms today. So there is existing business. We've got $150 billion total available market just in that legacy segment. So the main reason that we engineered it this way, Max, was because we used our own money to get here. Yeah. And so we are the investors in Cranium, so we take no risks whatsoever. So from an investor proposition moving forward, I hope that what we've been able to do is to de-risk that initial technology build and get the company at a point where it is at the deployment gates already now.
Tony, Noel, thank you so much for coming to the Founder Talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Max. It was a pleasure to meet you. Thank you.